Hello everyone, welcome to the ProTeach examination preparation series. This is an online educational content series targeted at bringing personalized learning straight to your mobile, web, or your laptops. Now, this is the second part of this series that has started for a while now. The first part of the series was a Facebook Live session tackling writer's effect in IGCSE First Language English Paper 2. The second part is a series of slides that have been narrated upon aimed at tackling summary writing in the IGCSE English Paper 2 also. The strategies, tips, and tricks in this presentation have been carefully curated using both online and offline sources to get you the best that you can use to get an A star in the examination, which I guess is the aim of most exam takers. ProTeach is committed to giving you the best of the best, but we will appreciate it if you can drop a comment on any of our social media channels, be it via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or on our blog or our webpage on how to make this better. And if you have any suggestions on any topics that you feel we should touch on, please do not hesitate to give us a shout out on any of these social media channels that I've listed out. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the strategies that have been carefully selected for you. And please apply them, because there's no fun in learning something without applying them. Practice, they say, makes perfect. Thank you. Summary writing. Tips and strategies to tackle summary questions in IGCSE English First Language Paper 2. Description. The summary question asks you to identify relevant points from the text on the chosen topic and write about them in your own words. This is the final question in Paper 2 and the easiest question to gain marks. This question is based solely on Passage B. This question is in response to Passage B and may be subdivided into 3A and 3B. Candidates write their content points in note form and then their summary as continuous writing of 200 to 250 words. In question 3A, the answers are in bullet points or note form. This question tests the following reading assessment objectives for 15 marks. R1. Demonstrate understanding of explicit meanings. R2. Demonstrate understanding of implicit meanings and attitudes. R5. Select for specific purposes. In question 3B, the answers are in a continuous writing format. The question tests the following writing assessment objectives for 5 marks. W1. Articulate experience and express what is thought, felt, and imagined. W2. Sequence facts, ideas, and opinions. W3. Use a range of appropriate vocabulary. What does the question look like? Notes. What does the Kalahari expedition offer a traveler according to Passage B? Write your answer using short notes. You do not need to use your own words. Use up to 15 marks are available for the content of your answer. Now I'm going to take it over again from the highlighted part. The first highlighted part tells you what you need to do. That's the question, the part that you need to focus on, the topic that you need to focus on in your summary. Kalahari expedition offer a traveler. So what does it offer a traveler? This tells you the topic that you need to write about for each of the parts of the questions. Be relevant. According to what? According to Passage B, this tells you where to find the information. Write your answer using what? Short notes, which tells you how your answer needs to be presented. You do not need to write in full sentences, but each point should make its sense. Should make sense, right? This tells you that you can copy from the passage, but part B will be easier if you have to put it in your own words. So what this means is that while it is okay for you to copy directly from the passage, you would have an easier time converting it into your summary paragraph if you have already written it in your own words, if you've modified the points that you're listing in 15 points in your own words. Please note that part. Up to 15 marks are available for the content of your answer. It tells you the amount of marks you're getting. 15 whole marks. This is the most important part of the summary writing exercise. The next slide talks about the summary question 3B. This is the part where you need to do continuous writing. I'm going to read out the question, and then like I did in the foremost part, I'm going to highlight the parts that have been colored to tell you what is important. Now use your notes to write a summary of what passage B tells you about what the Kalahari expedition offers a traveler. You must use continuous writing, not note form, and use your own words as far as possible. The summary should include all 15 of your points in question 3A and must be 200 to 50 words. Up to 5 marks are available for the quality of your writing. The first highlighted part in blue tells you write what is summary. This tells you to select key points and write about them in a concise way. Synonyms for concise will be what? Brief, straight to the point, direct, do not ramble. I'm going to repeat that phrase again. Do not ramble. The second part that is highlighted in yellow tells you where to find the information. Obviously, it's in passage B. You have no business with passage A. You have no business with any other passage in paper 2. Just passage B only. Moving on, it tells you what to talk about. That is the topic. That's highlighted in green. That the Kalahari expedition offers the traveler. This tells you the topic that you need to write about for each part of the question. Please be relevant. You must use continuous writing and use your own words as far as possible. This part is highlighted in blue. This tells you not to copy from the passage, but to put the points into your own words. Now, in the first part, it was an option given to you to list out your points in your own words. But here, it is compulsory. It is the main thing that you need to do. You do not copy from the passage at all. If you do that, we'll get to what that will do to you later on in the slide, in the presentation. And it tells you how much you need to write, up to 200 to 250 words. Please do not ramble. 200 to 250 words in a 23-line page, which is what I assume the examination paper looks like. 23-line page, 200 to 250 words should be up to 15 lines. Please do not ramble. There are 3 stages to remember for this question. Step 1. Always read the question first. Write the focus of the summary at the top of the passage. This will help you stay focused on the information you are looking for. Read passage B. As you read it, make sure you are highlighting keywords and phrases that are relevant to the question, and you need at least 15 points. Step 2. Copy the phrases into bullet points as a list. You copy directly from the passage. Please, this is optional. You might copy directly from the passage, or you could rephrase them into your own words when you're copying out. Step 3. Turn the bullet points into full coherent sentences. The operative word here is what? Coherent. Sentences that are linked. That are what? That are linked. You've listed them in bullet points. Do not write out your summary in bullet points. Do not write them in bullet points and put a full stop thinking you are smarter than the examiner. It must be coherent. There must be use of connectives to form a well-linked paragraph. At the end of the question, you should have a table with bullet points and underneath one paragraph. This is the format that your summary question should have. You would have a table with bullet points, and underneath that you will have one paragraph. Here are a few tips to take note of for question 3A. Learn to separate points embedded in a sentence by taking note of punctuation marks like commas, semicolons, and colons. Now, this is a very important aspect. Commas, semicolons, and colons do almost the same jobs. They separate items in a list, or they separate sentences, or they separate 2 parts of a sentence that are closely related or that are linked. Now, when you have items on a list separated by a comma, for example, the cowboys use hats, boots, and ropes to corral the herd. When you're listing the items used that are peculiar to a cowboy show, you would list what? Hats, that's 1 point. Boots, 1 point. ropes 1 point. The fact that they are all listed together in a sentence and they are separated by a comma does not mean you should paraphrase. I'll get to that later. You should separate them as items singly in your bullet points. Make sure that you get at least 13 items on the list. The marks for the list is independent of the summary itself. That has been shown in the question that I broke down. 15 marks for your bullet point list. 15 marks. Please do not disregard that. It's the most important part of the summary question. Oftentimes, students disregard salient points as they are in a rush to paraphrase or merge independent list items into one. I said that earlier when I was talking about the commas, semicolons, and colons. If you do not understand or you have problems with punctuation, please read up on those 3 punctuation items, because I do not have time to go into that. This is an examination strategy session, not a grammar class. Try to shrink your handwriting if it is too large. Remember, do not go outside the box, 15-point box, unless you cross one out. That's self-explanatory. Make sure all your points include specific details from the passage. Do not ramble. Do not bring details that are not included in the passage into your summary. Make sure that all your points are relevant and do not copy whole phrases from the passages. The parts that have been underlined are the parts that I consider most important, most salient. Mistakes that leads to loss of marks. Avoid. Make sure you do not go over the word limit. It leads to loss of marks. 250 words is the maximum you should to write. 255, you're losing marks. 251, you're losing marks already. Do not say, oh, will the examiner count the number of words I've written? Blah, blah, blah. Do not guess and do not risk it. Another point, please. Do not waste your time counting the number of words you have written in a summary. It wastes your time. Unless you finish on time and you have at least 15 minutes extra, that's when I would advise you to count. And even at that, there's a simple format for knowing this. Watch the previous video and you will get the format that we use for estimating the number of words written in an IGCSE examination. Do not write a narrative or in the first person or in any other inappropriate form. I'll get into this point in detail when we move on in the presentation. Write no more than one side of average handwriting. You have a question paper that has 2 sides. 2 sides. One side you can use for your 15 points. The second side you use for your 1 paragraph, which means that you're not writing more than a page. Or you could write your 15 points on one side, make a table, draw 15 lines, write your 15 points there, and underneath it, immediately write your 1 paragraph. Whichever way you try to do it, do not exceed 1 page for your summary question. Do not repeat yourself. Be careful when selecting the 15 points. Make sure the same ideas aren't repeated twice or thrice. The smart ones among you would have known that I made a mistake or there's something I'm trying to prove in this last point. And I'm going to click on the animation to show you what exactly it means. Why did I animate that particular point? Do not repeat yourself. Every other thing apart from that, every other thing that follows is a repetition of that same point. Please do not fall into that trap. Here are a few tips to take note of for question 3B. Now, the point that you're seeing on your screen is the most important point, and I'll come back to it later. Include an introductory sentence which mentions the topic in the question. Obviously, your summary paragraph is not something you just rush into or you jump into. There has to be an introductory sentence. Introductory sentence will include the topic of the question. Our topic in the sample question that we used was what the Kalahari Desert or the Kalahari expedition offers a traveler. Your sample essay or your sample paragraph will read thus: the Kalahari expedition offers a traveler the following blah blah blah. Or here is an example of what the Kalahari expedition offers, but you must make reference to it. Must always be written in the third person, irrespective of the narrative mode of the passage. I spoke about this earlier, now I'm going to elaborate. The third person, he, she, it, is what you use in writing your passage, irrespective of the narrative mode of the passage that you were given. The passage could be a letter written in the first person. I love you and I would like to see you. And when I went to the forest, I saw a lion and the lion ate a zebra, blah blah blah. When you're summarizing, the summary will go thus: he loves her, and when the writer was in the forest, he saw. Do you understand? You're not writing in the first person, neither are you writing you saw, you no, not in the second person. You're writing in the third person, and it must be informative. We'll get into that also. Try to use a range of connectives, not just also. This point cannot be overflogged. Students do this all the time, and I wonder, it's also the only connective you were taught. Therefore, however, moreover, more so, in addition, conclusively, to summarize, there's so many connectives you can use. Please do not just stick to also. It reduces the quality of your writing. Underlined again to show you how important it is. Write in an informative style. Never comment on or add to the content of the passage. I said that when I was talking about writing in third person. Informative style, not in a story style. You're not writing a narrative essay for me. You're writing an expository piece. What? An expository piece. Do not comment. Do not make any additions to it. It's a summary, for God's sake. Less is more in a summary. I'll repeat that again. Less is more in a summary. When writing the summary, make sure all the listed 15 points are used. If you listed only 13 points, please make sure you use all the 13 points that have been listed. This is a sample question, which I wouldn't bother to read. This is a sample answer for question 3A. 15 points have been listed. Some of them were directly copied from the passage. Some of them were rephrased by the student. You can figure out the ones that have been replaced. You can figure out the ones that were directly lifted from the passage. Pictures research doesn't support the possibilities, obviously has been rephrased. Elusive evidence obviously is lifted from the passage. Yeti's scalp used by monks were actually goats, obviously listed from the passage. Traditional shepherd stories listed from the passage. No set location to be found at, rephrased. Known animals can be mistaken, rephrased. Evidence could have come from anywhere, rephrased. May just be a Tibetan bear, rephrased. It's your choice, whichever way you want to do it, but we'll see how this format used here helped in the essay or the paragraph that was written. Passage B tells you. Write a summary of what passage B tells you about the reasons for not believing in the existence of unicorns and yetis. And says there are many reasons for not believing in unicorns and yetis. And it goes on. I'll read it for the sake of those of you who cannot read fast enough. Firstly, now please note that this answer was written by a student and it has not been doctored or corrected, so please bear with the grammatical mistakes and errors that you can find there. Firstly, research does not support possibilities that the animals could exist, and evidence used to justify it could have come from any source, like traditional shepherd stories and reports from 2,400 years ago. Also, evidence disappears, and with no modern photographed pictures, error, can prove nothing. I read it wrong, so I'll read that again. And with no modern photographs, pictures can prove nothing. So evidence is often very elusive. Sightings, especially in areas where the animals are said to exist, are extremely rare, and people find it hard to believe in modern times with so few accounts of modern sightings. In the mountains and forests,
known animals are easily mistaken for the Yeti, and accounts of Yeti scalps used in rituals by monks were proven, not proved, to be made of goats under investigation. Also, the account by Reinhold Messner was thought to have actually described a Tibetan bear which occasionally rises to two legs. The creation of fake Yeti as hoaxes make the handed down memories which tells of the Yeti and make it hard to distinguish between fact and hoax, so real accounts are likely ignored. There is no set location where the animals can be found either, so it seems unlikely that the animals can exist without a set habitat. This is the marking criteria for writing, and three things are focused on: concision, focus, and use of your own words. So you have bands 1 to 6, with band 6 standing for 0 marks and band 1 standing for up to 5 marks. Now, most students that I have marked in Nigeria, uh, or even from other races or other countries like India and China mostly, usually fall between a band 3 to band 2. Now, the last answer that I read will fall under a band 2, which is 4 marks. So if you do want to get an A star, you already know where you're supposed to fall. Band 1, which is the 5 marks. And it is easy, it is possible. Follow the tips and strategies that have been outlined in this presentation, and you will definitely will get there.
In conclusion, the summary question carries a whopping 20 marks. If possible, start with this question as it only pertains to Passage B and does not require any details from Passage A or any other part of the examination paper. It doesn't take too much time but carries a lot of weight. Please do not disregard. Best of luck in your examinations, and please remember to drop a comment, leave a suggestion, or just send us a shout out via any of our social media channels to tell us how well this has helped you. Stay blessed.